I am Daniel Likis,
Hi, I'm Sal Cosenza.
and welcome to Abstract Essay. Abstract Essay is created to empower artists all over the world. Speaking of artists, of course, my legendary co-host, Mr. Sal
Legendary.
Cosenza.
I
Is
like
it?
that. Can I put that on my resume?
Of course, you're one of a kind,
Well, you're
legendary.
and you are incomparable. How about that? No one can compare.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, Mr. Salva, we're gonna talk about today another week, another great episode on Abstract Essay.
Yes. Thank you, Daniel, for again sort of giving me this forum to share my work. I like to share a new painting with you all. It's a piece that we started talking about last episode, but it's finished. And this is the first painting that I completed since February of 2024. So it's been quite some time. I was a little rusty, not going to lie, in the beginning when I started painting it. I was like, oh my God, I was like moving robotically, like when I was doing the sky. But then
Yes,
eventually it really does. It's so cliched. It's like riding a bike, but it really is like riding a bike, which I'm grateful for. You know, it's like I feel like I'm at an age where I'm still not forgetting completely the process, which is good.
and we
Um,
congratulate you for that.
thank you.
Yay! Thank
Thank
you
you. Yes.
for creating that magnificent painting of yours.
Well, thanks, and we'll see how people respond to it. There's a show coming up. I'd like to first, I guess I'll share screen with you all.
The drum roll, please. Where's the
Uh-oh,
drum
I
roll?
always, I always botch the drum roll. Oh,
Good job.
no, not even
not,
close, but
not
thank you.
even
Okay,
close.
so here's the, let me zoom in. Can you see it says events here, Arizona Light and
Yes,
Color?
yes,
Yeah, so
indeed.
this is the show. If anyone's in town, anyone around the world, if you happen to be in Scottsdale, Arizona,
Yes,
this coming Saturday, June 14th, from noon to 3 p.m., you will see, I think, 30 plus artists, each of them showing something, showcasing something special about Arizona, right? So it could be the landscape, it could be the nature, it could be the culture of this state that we inhabit, right? And so Art One Gallery is the sort of sponsor of this event. And I think it might be the first time they've done something like this, where they've invited all of the artists to sort of come in and create a special work for this show, right? So these works are all brand new. I was so this was what sort of got me going in terms of painting again, picking up a paintbrush. So I thank Art One for that, right? For getting this
yes.
going. Um, and let me stop share real quick because I want to reshare the work now, the painting I made. Let me see here. So here's the work. This is
Wow.
actually a sneak
Preview.
peek. Is that preview? Thank you. This is an exclusive preview. And here's the work. It's called Desert Heartscape. It measures 24 inches by 36 inches. Just hot off of the presses, so to speak. I just completed it this month, or last month, the end of last month. Um, After I complete it, I have this sort of ritual where I paint the sides, I string it up, I title it, I take photos of it. So, it's kind of, I'm my own worst enemy when I make a new painting because there's a lot of work that goes into it when it's done. Um, because I'm very adamant about taking photos of the pieces because once they're gone, if I'm fortunate enough to sell one, the painting is out of my life, right? So I have to
Yes.
make sure to document it as much as possible. So this is the full piece. This is the sketch sort of in full view now, right? So I always start with a sketch. And, if you kind of look at this, you could really see, it's more or less the same. I think the scale is a lot, I pulled back more on the final painting. But I was going for, like I do in a lot of my paintings, iconic imagery, right? Imagery that I think could sort of work on its own, imagery that is memorable. So for me, it was the silhouette of this cowboy. Here, let me just, I think that this is sort of an iconic image of, the classic Western, right? That silhouette of the cowboy hat, um, with this heart ship in the background, sort of framing this sort of image of Americana, right? With the little picket fence in the background, right? Other iconic images that are in this piece, I think, the saguaro cactus. Last episode, Daniel, right? We spent a good amount of time talking about the fragility of the
Yes.
saguaro, right? What makes it so special and symbolic to desert cultures in the United States, and before there was a United States, right? What indigenous cultures, how they sort of viewed and honored the saguaro cactus, right? So this painting is partly meant to sort of honor the saguaro, which is a little bit endangered, actually. There was a census taken recently that said in the Phoenix metropolitan area, they couldn't find any new saguaros like being born. So it's a problem, right? And we talked about
Yes.
how climate change was a big issue there. But so you've got the iconography of the cowboy, you've got the iconography of the saguaro, and then I think that these sort of heart-shaped ships have become sort of a signature of mine. I tend to go back to them throughout the years. I started way back in 2017, and if you go on my website, you'll see sort of all the other times that I've incorporated these hardscapes in my work. This one was the very first time I did that, right? And this was from 2017 when I was living in New York. I painted this for my mother. Um, so it was for her birthday, and I came up with this little poem. Um, and it's this idea of, the heart sort of is always watching, right? It's sort of this omnipresent object in the sky that just sort of reminds you that, maybe it's going to be okay, right? Or it's a sign of optimism and hope in an otherwise potentially bleak world, right? So
Yes.
I think that the hardscape, I've since started to call these heartscapes, right? So instead of a landscape, it's a landscape populated by heart-shaped ships. So therefore, it should be called a heart shape, right? That was my logic. A heartscape. That was my logic, right? So this one I did in collaboration with the Brush Bar, which is in Arizona, which is like a paint and wine uh, class, right? Where you can order a bottle of wine, bring a few friends, and then you're given sort of instructor-led tutorials. And so I created one for the Brush Bar. I collaborated with them to produce this one. And then in a past episode, Daniel, we talked about this series I did, the Resilient Love series, where
Yes.
it's these robots sort of finding each other amid, again, a hardscape backdrop, right? So there were three paintings in this trilogy here, which is why it's called a trilogy. There were three. Go figure. Um, I'm
Yes.
like, there were four? No, there
Quartet.
weren't four, but yeah, it was a quartet trilogy. The world's
Yeah.
first.
The
But
world
I did
indeed.
this one. I did these during COVID, I remember in 2021. But here again are the sort of is that heartscape, those heart-shaped ships in the background. But for the new one, for this one, Desert Hardscape, I think I went a lot bigger. I think that the ships themselves appear to be, you know, massive, or at least I wanted them to appear to be massive, right? So you have the cowboy and the cacti here in the foreground. You have this sort of middle ground layer with some smaller saguaro just sort of receding in the distance. So there's layering once again. There's also atmospheric layering here. In the way background are these heart-shaped ships, right? And those are at different levels, right? Some are closer to us, some are sort of way, furthest back, right? So it's implying that there's a scale to these things. These black strips are meant to be like some sort of futuristic window. Um, and then the sky, as usual, I always start with the sky. I remember for this painting, I first went to Papago Park, which is I tend to go to Papago Park in Phoenix for inspiration. Um, a few of my paintings now have taken inspiration from that park because it's like a desert oasis in the middle of the Phoenix metropolitan area. So I took some photos of the sunset. I took some really close-up photos of the saguaro that were there. A lot of them have seen better days because it's a public park. So a lot of them even have like had bullet holes in them, which is awful. Um, but taking these photos really helped me with the textures, um, right? Like really sort of getting into the details, the textures. It happened to be the flowering, the pollination season, and I think it still is around here, the season where the saguaro are pollinating, so their flowers were in full bloom, and I tried to capture that here, right? So
Nice.
with the flower buds, and you've got bees and flies and bugs sort of pollinating, doing their work, right? But again, the saguaro it's basically the star of the picture, um, whereas the hardscape, the heart ships are sort of in the background, sort of overseeing the festivities, if you will. And then the cowboy, he's just sort of he represents. I mean, I put a little of myself in this guy, right? Like this sense of longing. Um, I think you have to, or I have to, as a painter. I try to identify with the characters. So maybe this is like a little bit of a self-reflection, not really a self-portrait, but um, I think that we all, I think there's something timeless about looking up in the sky and sort of feeling a sense of longing or, hope for the future. Um, so it is a reflective kind of a painting. I do have this little story here. Um, it's showcasing a blend of sci-fi and Western themes. Desert Heartscape captures a day in the life of a lonesome cowboy who pauses among a forest of soaring saguaro to study the appearance of these heart-shaped ships that permeate the sky above. And I won't read the whole thing, but he's sort of wondering, like, what are these things? Why are they here? He's sort of getting a little alarmed because they're starting to multiply, right? So I'm imagining it goes from the sighting of one of these ships to five now, and maybe more, right? But I think he resolves at the end by just saying, you know, just sit back and let it all happen, right? So he's realizing that he's part of this desert hardscape at the end of the day, right? He's no different than a jackrabbit or a saguaro or a picket fence, right? He's like part of the landscape. He's part of the hardscape in this case. Um, so we don't really know what happens to this dude, but
What's the story
maybe
of
he
the dude?
gets maybe he gets kidnapped or abducted by the heart-shaped ships and comes back 20 years later. I don't know,
Oh
but anyway.
wow. But
So, so this work you will see at that show this coming Saturday, along with, I'm really looking forward to seeing what my fellow colleagues and fellow artists have produced. It's
yes,
going to be, I was told it's people started putting work in already and they're storing everything right now. Um, but they said like we're really excited with sort of the variety that you're going to see there. I'm sure there will be pictures on Art One's website, and I'll try
yes.
to take a few. I'll try to take some as well, but I'm pretty excited about it. And thank you for letting me share this with you, Daniel.
Yes, good luck for that, Mr. Sal. Good luck for that thing. And my question is, let's say after 10 years, you want to modify this painting of yours. Which one or which area you want to modify?
Ooh, after 10 years, I usually, I'm usually strict with not touching it anymore. Like once it's done
It's
and
done.
signed, and I usually, I mean, I've only modified, I think, one painting of mine. Um, and I realized it wasn't even worth it to me. So I really sort of, I lock them in when they're done. Um, I don't know why. I, and it's interesting because it's kind of like, you know, you keep editing yourself, right? I have to sort of, if I don't edit myself, I could keep going and going on these paintings, right? So I sort of am trying to be really strict about sort of pulling the plug on it and saying it's done, right? And so 10 years, if 10 years goes by and I walk past a painting or I see it, I see an image of it and I sort of, I will scrutinize it. I will say, ah, damn it, I wish that piece was moved over here. There are actually like behind me, I'm looking at some of like my past paintings and, you know, I could look at some of them and sort of, be like, oh, I wish that was not there. I wish this was here. But
Yeah, they say.
what are you gonna do? I see it as it's kind of too late. But it's kind of, and it's a good question though, because it's something that I think all of us have. We push ourselves in the creative world. You do it too, I'm sure, with podcasts, right? I wonder, do you like revisit a podcast episode and you're like, oh, why did
Yes,
I say that? Or
yes,
why didn't I ask that question or whatever it may be?
true.
And we just have to like keep going.
Yes,
Um, and I tell that to my students too, because they're always producing portfolios, like stuff, like books showcasing their work. And in most cases, that portfolio has a shelf life of maybe a year or two. And then you would look at it again and be like, ah, this is all wrong. Like this whole the graphic strategy is wrong. The fonts, the font selection, the style of it. All of my portfolios that I've done, I've made like 6 or 7 of them in my life. Most of them have something that's like, you know, outdated or I wouldn't do it today. But I live with it. I sort of because it's already printed and a painting to me is already it's finalized, you know.
yes.
Am I wrong? I don't know. Maybe
Yes, you're correct, and I want to give you
oh
a
yeah.
big, big hand for that, Mr. Sal. Good luck for tomorrow. Hoping for the best, and I hope it will become successful. And for sure, there will be another year for creating a magnificent painting of yours. What do you think? Let's say today they will invite you again for next year. What masterpiece will you like to do?
Well, they always art one's unpredictable. They always sort of have some sort of a show going on. This was the first time it was kind of this theme and this structure. But they've done in the past fundraisers for Two Pups Wellness Fund, which which helps um, stray pets.
Yeah.
So they've asked like people to produce a pet themed piece of some sort, and I've been involved with two of those so far. I don't know what they might ask in the future, but it's always something interesting. And again, it in this particular case, it helped me sort of revisit my paintbrushes, and I'm glad because now I've got at least two more ideas in mind for new paintings. Um, so, and that's really what it's all about, right? Is having ideas and getting them out onto a medium, be it a podcast, be it a
Yes.
canvas, be it song lyrics, right? Whatever, be it a food dish, right?
Yes.
We have to, because then the alternative is it's stuck in our heads, right? And
Yes.
we have to sort of break through that barrier in our that we've set up for ourselves. It's so easy to just sit back and be like, I don't want to do anything today, or I'm not going to produce that work because someone might not like it, or it might not look good, or, you know, I hear it all the time. It's like, I'm not an artist. I'm terrible at drawing. I'm terrible at painting. But at the same time, they have this idea in their heads that's like stirring, right? And who am I to say, well, just let it stir? No, it's like you got to get it out.
Yes.
You have to, and don't worry about if it's good, bad, ugly, indifferent. Like, right? You just have to get it out. That's the number one priority, I think, for any creative person. And then
Ye-
deal with the consequences, right?
Yes, people, if you have the talents, please share to the world and don't be afraid to commit mistake or failures. Those things make you
Yeah.
perfect, right?
That's it. You've hit it on the head. Like we're in a culture where I think we're afraid to make mistakes, right?
Yes.
And you have to make mistakes to grow. You have to make them. Um, because yeah, that's what I
And
tell students too. It's like
yeah,
everyone, they all expect an A. Like who doesn't want an A, right? I'll
of
take an A
course.
anytime.
Yes.
But you shouldn't start like the first week of the semester with an A. You should work towards an A. That's my philosophy. That's what I had to do as a student, right? It's better to start, I think, at like a B and then move up, because then you grow and you
Yes.
appreciate the A more.
Yes, and take the risk, people. Don't afraid to take the risk because I think
Hmm.
80% people all over the world, they're afraid of the risk, right? In terms
Yeah,
of
and
everything.
and that's not how ideas are forged. That's not how innovations are made, right? You
Yes,
can't, you have to take risks. Um,
to the
so
limit.
I hope you and I are preaching to the choir, right? And like everyone who's listening
Yes.
and watching, I hope that, even if you have just a little seed in your brain of, oh, I always wanted to make that, do it. Just make it. Don't worry about, if it's good or bad.
Don't care what people say about you. Number
Yeah,
one,
you,
people afraid of what people say about you. Who cares?
you're
This
never
if
gonna please everyone,
yes, if you have the talents
you
like
know.
Mr. Sal, show to the world. And Mr. Sal, before we go on to our discussion, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, my other podcast, because Abstract Essay. Our Abstract Essay is already fifth season, Abstract Poetry in second season, and of course, my book 101 review in fifth season, Comedy 101 in second
Number
season, and
one.
number one, my book 101, and Food 101 in fifth season too, Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast, Law 101, and Mental Health 101, Love Letters in third season, Movie 101 review and Music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its
And
first
last but not
season.
least, yes.
And but not the least,
I- you've
please,
got like it's a
yes.
buffet platter of emotions. I love it.
Yes. Well, please do listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. Mr. Sal, would you like to plug in your book?
Well, so I've got some big things happening with the book.
Yes.
I'm gonna,
Yay.
and that's all I can say for right now.
Oh,
But it's
suspense.
available. Yeah, it's available right now on Amazon and Barnes and Noble, and local in Arizona at Changing Hands Bookstore. But I've got some big things in the works for it.
Big news, people, big news.
Big, yeah.
As in a big like the universe, like the Big Bang.
Yes.
Indeed.
And how about you, Daniel? What do you got coming up besides your podcasts?
I want to please do listen to my audiobooks, people. Audiobooks, please do listen to my, of course, my Book 101 Review Volume 1. Highly recommended Book 101 Review Volume 3. And of course, my climate change book, Earth Fever, Unraveling Climate and Our Race to Restore Balance. And Book 101 Review Volume 2 selected, and one of my self-help books, Threads of Existence, Waving the Tapestry of Life. Life is too short, a journey discovery of fulfillment and joy, and Stand Tall, Stand Together, Breaking the Chains of Bullying. Please listen to them because one of the best sellers on Audible. So that's the big one for me, Mr. Sal, for this week. And hoping our listeners will continue listening to us. We move to another platform, people. We are now on at Acast, so please support us, even if you don't notice it. But we move on.
Yes.
Right, Mr. Sal?
Irreconcilable differences. Irreconcilable differences with the other one.
Yes. And Mr. Sal, good luck for tomorrow and hoping for the best.
Thank you. I hope to snap some photos and share with you all too. And hopefully we'll bring in some fellow guest artists.
Yes, definitely.
I'll see what I can do.
Please do. So, Mr. Sal, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel, as well. Thank you, everyone. Have a great week.
More to come, people. See you soon.